Hey guys. Wow, it's been a while since I recorded a video on the laptop. I've done so many videos on my phone. It's been a while since I've done any more videos on my laptop. They've, my Windows has gone through a few updates, and now the camera looks different. Like the timer at the bottom, the stuff buttons on the side, and plus the sound they made when I click play sounds different. That's that's new. Interesting. But it still all works the exact same, so it's not nothing I have to adjust to. So this is another Freddy's video. I'm kind of going through a Freddy's thing right now. And this is not a part 3 to the many different versions of Freddy's. Turns out, at the end of that FNAF World video, I forgot a Freddy, but I'll mention him at the beginning of the next one. And the next one will be recorded on phone, and I realized I should turn the phone sideways instead of up, because people don't like that. I didn't realize I was even doing that. That's why those aren't getting any views. People are seeing that it's that kind of video and they're not clicking. They don't like that. I'm an idiot. But yeah, well. Anyway, now we're not here to talk about the different Freddy's. We're here to talk about all the different worlds. Not any fan world, if anything. No fan worlds. Because if we're doing that, then with any fan base and anyone making their own timeline or continuity in their head and posting online, it becomes a thing. Every fan comic or piece of fan art of Turtles that you make out there, if you put too much thought into it, it becomes a world. If it has a fleshed out backstory to it and its unique design and everything, or if it's the same designs as, say, 2012, for example, where you just change the backstory, adds its own world out there, there's so many. And with FNAF, every SFM story, Zaku 37, Nixon, the Pimp, let's see, there's a lot more, but all those SFM animators, every series they do is a world out there, and there's oh my god. I'm not gonna mention Nixon's game, The Joy of Creation. I'm not gonna mention that one. I was gonna bring that up in the Freddy's one. Yeah, when I mention all the different Freddy's. Actually, no, forget that. I'm gonna mention his games, but I'm not gonna mention his YouTube channel and all of his videos that he does. I'm not gonna mention Bonzi Bunny because if I count that as part of one of the official things, I'm not gonna count any of that. No. In fact, I shouldn't even be counting Joy of Creation. I'm only counting it because of a technicality, and I shouldn't be doing that. But Joy of Creation is such a good game. I feel like it deserves it. But okay, I'm only going to mention the main games made by Scott, or you know, like the books. They're made by Scott and another guy, or sorry, a chick. I think I don't. I need to look her up. I could have sworn it's a chick, but it's been a while. I need to refresh my memory. But yeah, so if it has some Scott involvement, I'm counting it. I'm only counting official, no fan made except for Joy Creation. That's the only fan made thing I'm counting. Now, there we go. So, like I've been saying before in past videos, the first world of something, the first take on something, like the original Halloween, how it has multiple timelines. Like there's the original Halloween, Halloween 2, and 4, 5, and 6. Which version of 6 doesn't matter. Then there's the other timeline of 1, 2, 7, and 8. And then there's the most recent one, which is just 1 and the new one. They even ignore 2. Plus there's 3, which is its own thing on its own. Plus the remakes. That's its own world, its own thing. And I like to say the original movie exists on its own. It's its own world originally. Nothing else happened. And that's how I feel with all franchises. The original Turtles comic, that's it. The Prime verse in the Prime verse that we see crossover in Turtles Forever, and briefly crossover cameo in 2012. the Prime Turtles, the only thing to happen in their world was the first comic. They killed Shredder, and that was really it. And the sequel comics for Volume 1, yeah, that's the events of the first comic happen in that world, but it's a different world from the first world. Volume 2 and 3 and 4, they're going off the same thing, but yeah, see, you get what I mean. So going off of that logic, this is something that gets a little confusing. Sometimes creators, when they have more than one project they had, like in more than one game or show or movie, sometimes they like to connect them into one universe. Like the Pixar world. There was a theory, and then the theory was confirmed that every Pixar movie takes place in the same universe. But that's the thing. So when I'm counting FNAF in the original verse, does the Desolate Hope and Chipper and Sons exist there? Or are they also their own separate worlds? Because the Desolate Hope and Chipper and Sons have appeared in FNAF World. I don't know. Maybe they're their own worlds on their own, and then FNAF World is a universe where they cross over. They exist in the same thing there. I don't know. Does Desolate Hope and FNAF and Chipper and Sons all take place in the same world? I don't know. But I'm just gonna count FNAF. I'm not gonna, just to make things less confusing and a lot less speculation, I'm only gonna count FNAF. Freddy's games. No Chipper, no Desolate Hope, just Freddy, Fazbear, and the crew. So the first game is its own thing. And anything that happens in that world, that's it. So the sequels say that the killer was never. Okay, so first game, it said on the secret newspapers that the killer was caught and convicted. Yet in the sequels, the killer's still out and about. So some people theorize they let him go because of lack of evidence. Or maybe they convicted the wrong guy. Either way, there's a secret hidden banging noise that you can sometimes hear. It's not Foxy banging on the door. It's more like boom, boom, boom. Foxy's like dong, dong, dong. It's like a boom, boom, boom. Some people theorize that Springtrap in the safe room knocking, trying to get out. That's what some people theorize. And I don't know if that knocking Easter egg was always there, or if it's something Scott added in an update. I'll have to check out some old FNAF gameplays to figure it out. Listen closely to see if I can hear that dunk, dunk, dunking. But if it did get added in later, then I'm not counting that. So that means in the original world, the killer was caught and convicted, and that's just how it is in the original world. In the original world, there was no toys, no second location. Hell, not even a Fredbear's. No Fredbear's. The Bite of 87 more than likely was caused by Foxy in that world, because who else could it be? And that's just it. That's the original world. FNAF 1. Its own world on its own. Then we get into FNAF 2. So in this once it explodes into a franchise and has multiple installments, they all become their worlds. So now this next world has FNAF 1 in it, FNAF 2, FNAF 3, and FNAF 4. Okay, so that's a world. And in that world, that's when Purple Guy is officially revealed and the killer is now identified. In the original verse, it could be Purple Guy, or it could be just another guy who's a killer. It doesn't have to be purple. Nothing. It could just be a random guy for all we know in the original verse. But in this new verse, with the FNAF 1, 2, 3, and 4, yeah, it's definitely a purple guy. But anyway, let's not just that. Now we include not only the main game verse that the gameplay takes place in, now we include mini games. Here we go. Mini games. In the minigame verse, because there's no way to I mean, sure, it shows the same events that happen in the main verse. There's no way that can be the same universe. It's not like it's not like when you're in the office, you're 3D, and then when you step out of the office to go home at 6 a.m., you turn into a pixel. That doesn't make sense. That don't work. So I'm not saying the mini games aren't canon to the main game. I'm just saying they show the events that happen. It happens the same. It's just that the mini game worlds are a separate world. The same events still happen, but it's pixelated. So no, don't get me wrong. It's so technically it's just a parallel verse that's pixelated. So it's like a parallel verse. And FNAF 2 had its minigames, and each minigame, the art style is different. I know that might be hard to swallow. Sure, you've seen art style, you've seen people draw 2D or even animate 3D models, and they have their own art styles to them. And it might be hard to believe that pixels have their own styles. Believe it or not, yeah, they do. Because the minigames in FNAF 2 they don't look that good. They don't look all that good. And as the games went on, the minigames got better. It's different art style for the minigames each game. So that's the thing. That's it. The art styles got better each game. So I have to count each different game's minigames as their own world. So FNAF 2's the FNAF 2 Death minigames, yeah, they're a thing. It's the most worst looking pixel. Because Freddy in the Save Him minigame looks more orange than brown. Has a big ass top hat, 2 buttons but no bow tie. He's just walking around giving cake. See Bonnie without his face on, and you don't see his tie. Foxy doesn't look to be wearing shorts. And when he's sitting down in the back, I don't even remember if he has legs. If he has metal legs in that one, he could have red legs. Withered Chica's beak in that minigame is orange, and I don't think we see her bib. I don't have the bib on. And the Freddy in that pixelated, the Save Them minigame, he doesn't have his top hat or bow tie. I don't even think he has buttons. I don't remember. I need to re-look at it again. But Withered Freddy doesn't have his stuff on. So either Scott, the minigame art style that's terrible, not adding everything in, or that night that the murders happened, Freddy just decided to take his stuff off. And all of them did too, apparently. I don't know. And plus, the minigames aren't that accurate because for some reason, Toy Bonnie is purple there. Toy Chica, she has her bib, but there's nothing on it. She doesn't have her panties. Toy Freddy, he has his hat, but there's no stripe. Maybe there's a gray stripe. I don't know. I had a theory at one point that maybe just like how the FNAF ones and the Wizards are the same, but they got redesigned when they fixed them up. Maybe this is what the toys originally looked like, and then they got redesigned into the ones we see in game. And I've seen a fan art of something similar to that, so maybe someone else thought the same thing. No, I think it's just because their minigame's art style isn't accurate to game. That's what I think. And also, Mangle's head is entirely pink instead of white and pink. That's odd. And so yeah, that's that. Now FNAF 3. There we go, FNAF 3. Technically has 2 different minigames. It has the cutscene minigames and the secret hidden minigames, so you can get the good ending. I don't know if those are the same world. They kind of look like. I think the minigames where you gotta get the good ending. I think that art style on those are better. Maybe, I'm not sure. But I'm just gonna go with it. I'm just gonna count them as 2 separate things just in case. That would also explain why in FNAF 1 Bonnie's purple and the cutscene minigames in FNAF 3 are supposed to be the FNAF 1 place. But Bonnie's blue. And also, Freddy and Bonnie have buttons. Chica's legs are orange all the way up to here instead of at the knee. Plus, she doesn't have her bib. Foxy doesn't have his metal legs and hand, and plus he's not wearing his shorts. It could be still the same reason as the last game. the art style is lazy. It's not trying to be accurate. And I think that's the case. It's not until FNAF 4 when the mini games start to really become accurate and really detailed. Like, I swear, it's like it jumps so much from 2 to 3 to 4. I think 4's mini games aren't 8-bit. I think they're 16-bit, or I could be wrong. Maybe they're still 8-bit. They're just really good 8-bit. Wow. But yeah, we're not talking about FNAF 4 yet. So we gotta talk about this. So in that mini game, in those mini games, the guys get chopped up by Purple Guy, who his sprite looked different. In the second game, the first time we see him in the Save Him mini game and in the Foxy Go Go Go, he looked like one thing, and he also looked kind of pinkish. Some people call that one pink guy, but it's purple. Trust me, it's purple. And then when we see him in Save Them, he's all skinny, has a thing in his hand, which I'm gonna go with hand crank, and he has a badge. And it's a different sprite, so some people connected that with the books, how he looked like Santa Claus, and then when he came back after he left, he was all skinny. Some people connected it to that. I don't know. I'm not sure about all that. But yeah, even though it's different sprites, I think he could have just lost some weight. That could be it. So I'm not counting like every single mini game ever as its own world. But yeah, the purple guy here kind of looks like a mix between those two sprites. He's kind of wide like the other one, but he's not this pink guy. He's still kind of purple. He's like dark purple. So the purple guy in that one looks like that. At the end of night 5, the 5th child chases him into the suit and he dies. Okay, so that's that. Now we go to the good ending mini games, where we have, I assume her name is Party Chica, BB's Air Adventure, which has a miscolored BB. Could be the mini games are again inaccurate, but I like to count these guys as their own animatronics. Call me wrong, call me an idiot, but I'm gonna say they're their own animatronics. But I could be wrong. But yeah, and then there's also Mangle. And we got a Fredbear with a brown hat. Fredbear, Golden Freddy, whichever one. Doesn't matter. Some people think they're the same thing anyway, so just screw it. And then we have the glitchy Shadow Bonnie, or glitchy Bonnie. Purple Bonnie? It's Shadow Bonnie's black, but in this minigame he's purple. Probably because in minigames, purple represents shadowed people. So it's so I'm guessing at first I thought that meant that Shadow Bonnie was originally purple. And then later on he changed himself to black. Ghosts can do that. They can shapeshift and do whatever they want. That's why he appears as a small figure on your desk. FNAF 2, he's tall as hell, and then FNAF 3, he's a small figure on your desk. Now I think he's just a purple in that mini game because, same reason as Purple Guy. He's just supposed to be a shadowed thing. Shadows are represented by purple, not black in the minigame worlds. Something that would be vaguely established here, kind of in FNAF 2 also with Purple Guy, and then by FNAF 3, I think it's firmly planted that is the case. FNAF 4, I mean. Oh yeah. So yeah, and those mini games, it's they get saved. We get the good ending. There we go. And technically, this is multiple timelines here. This gives multiple timelines. There's the world where the good ending happens, and the world where the bad ending happens. You can either have the souls be set free at the end of FNAF 3, and then they're just not there in 6, or you can have them be not set free and still be trapped by the time FNAF 6 rolls about. But that doesn't happen in this original verse here with the FNAF 1, 2, 3, and 4. SL and 6 are a soft reboot. We'll get into that later. So there's two different ways that could go. Either the souls are set free or not. So that's two separate things on their own. That's two worlds right there. And yeah, I believe that's all the worlds for that game. Now we go to game number 4. So FNAF 4 in the original game verse, it's implied that it's just a nightmare, either in the kid's head, crying child's head, or the Foxy Mask kid's head, as my headcanon was for the longest. Did some crap, don't worry about it. Either way, in the original 4-game universe, FNAF 1, 2, 3, and 4, Nightmare animatronics may or may not have been different animatronics. Hell, they may or may not have been real. Because it's all been hallucinations, nightmares that never existed, only in the kid's head. But we're not getting over that. We're not getting into that. I'm just going to quickly say this. My original headcanon was the spirits of the 5 kids who possessed the animatronics, Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, Golden Freddy, were able to leave their animatronic bodies. Or maybe when they're powered down, it's kind of like them sleeping. I think they can just pull a Freddy Krueger. Because it's not just a Freddy Krueger thing to be able to go in dreams. Danny Phantom had an episode where they can do that. So ghosts can just go into dreams. It's a thing they can do. And that's what I thought it was. I thought that the souls of the kids were going into the Foxy kid's dreams to punish him for what he did to his brother. That was my headcanon. So I thought the nightmares were just another form of the original 4. We got the originals, the wizards, the phantoms, and the nightmares. And that could be what it is in the original verse of the first 4 games. Could be, not confirmed. We don't know. If it is the crying kid's head, then it's probably the nightmares just aren't real. It's probably just the kid's imagination. But yeah, that's that. And then after SL and 6 and all that, they're confirmed to be real in some way, shape, or form. But I'm talking about the original game verse, with 1, 2, 3, and 4. The original series. 4 games, 1 story. They may be real, they may not be real, they could just be hallucinations, they could just be visions in the kid's head, or they could be the spirits of the kids pulling a Freddy Krueger, who knows. But yeah, I'm not here to rant about that stuff. I'm here to talk about this minigame world. This minigame world looks way more in detail and better than the first 2 games. First, should I say 2 and 3. 1 didn't have any. You get the point. Yeah, so this looked way better. Way more detailed. Of course, some details aren't quite right. Like, if you look closely at the pixelated Fredbear's eyes, either the guy wearing the costume, the one on stage, or the head in the backstage, he has brown eyes. Yet Nightmare Fredbear has red eyes. The Fredbear in Ultimate Custom Night has blue. And the Fredbear in FNAF World has like a weird shade of blue, kind of like the endoskeleton from FNAF 2's eyes. So I think it's pretty clear that Fredbear either has blue, or in case of Nightmare Fredbear, red. But then this minigame Fredbear here has brown. Maybe it's not brown. Maybe I'm pulling another 2012 Donatello with this. First I thought they were purple until I looked closer and like, oh, they're brown. My mistake, I'm an idiot. I made the connection. I made a stupid connection that doesn't make sense. Well, I guess it could make sense, but whatever. Don't matter. Forget about it. Well, yeah, there's a few things that are kind of odd here, but the point is that's this minigame world. Much more pixelated and detailed. More detailed pixels is what I should call it. Now, here's the next big world. Now, this is up for debate, but I'm just going to say anything Scott makes that he says is non-canon, like Ultimate Custom Night. an alternate custom night. For sister location custom night. He said the gameplay of the night isn't canon, but the cutscene, the pixelated mini-game cutscenes you get at the end, those are canon to the story of the main game universe, or should I say, quote unquote main game, whatever. He says those are canon, but no. So I think that whenever Scott makes something that he says isn't canon, it's its own world called the non-canon world, as I call it. So I'm not going to count SL's custom night as a separate world from the Halloween update. I think they're the same thing, and that's what I'm just going to count it as. Okay, we good? Good. So it's up to the big whether or not the custom night in the first two games are canon with the rest. I think some people say only the first 6 nights are canon. Well, custom night isn't, and that's why there's no custom night in FNAF 3 because Scott didn't find it important. Only the first 6 nights are canon. But if, in case that is the case, I'll count custom night for the first 2 games in there. But if they are supposed to be with the rest, then screw it. So yeah, the non-canon world, where custom night from the first game, the second game, then aggressive nightmare mode in FNAF 3, and I think actually no, scrap that. I think the custom nights are canon. If that's the case, then 2020 Night 8 mode in FNAF 4 wouldn't be canon, yet it's labeled as Night 8 like it is part of the rest. So yeah, screw it. Non-canon. So the non-canon Halloween update world, along with the SL sister location, custom night. SL sister location, same thing, whatever. And the ultimate custom night. Yeah, I'm counting that one in there too. So that's a world. That's a world right there. The reason why I count Ultimate Custom Night is because it has Marion in it. And Marion's not canon. And so if he's there, it's gotta be, You get the point. So that's a world. And if it doesn't have to follow this main story or make sense because it's non-canon. It's its own thing. It's its own world. Probably has its own little unique story to it for why the thing ended up like how it is. But yeah, then there's the non-canon Halloween update pixelated world, where they just threw a few pumpkins and changed the color schemes here and there because it was based around Halloween time. So it's pretty much kind of like an alternate timeline where the bite happened sooner, because I believe the bite of '83, the bite of Fredbear, happened sometime in November 11, 12, somewhere around there. But I guess in this world, it's like a few weeks back around Halloween time. That's like the only difference. Now we get to the big one. After I go use the bathroom real quick. Alright, I'm back. Alright, so now we get into the big one, FNAF World. It's its own world. For the longest time, a lot of people thought, and in my head canon, It's the flip side that the phone guy mentioned in the first game. Whatever happens there affects what happens. Whatever happens in the main world, FNAF 1, 2, 3, and 4. Whatever happens there affects what happens in the flip side, the FNAF world, and vice versa there. That's why when they get the clock ending, you set up all these mini games that are later to appear in FNAF 3. That's a mindfuck right there. Kat says, no, they can't be connected. She thinks FNAF World is its own world. The only reason it has those connections to the main game verse, with 1, 2, 3, and 4, the first 4 games, is because space-time anomalies, rips in the space-time continuum, etc. Things like that. That's the only way they connect, is because time-space science talk. You get it. If you've seen some science fiction shows, you get what I mean. Whether or not it is meant to be connected, or it only has those connections because, rips in the space-time continuum. Either way, it's its own world, and it's it. It's its own world. It's a world where every animatronic is cutesy. Apparently, animatronics are just the people of that world, even though Henry exists there. That's confusing. Is Henry the one human who made animatronics so he wouldn't be lonely? Is he the last human left? Who knows? It doesn't matter. Point is, it's its own world. And in that world, in the main game verse, the first 4 games, FNAF 1 and then FNAF 2 Wizards, they're the same. It's just the Wizards when they get rebuilt and fixed up again. The Phantoms, it's them when their physical bodies get destroyed and they became ghosts. Or it's just hallucinations by the guard and they're not real. Either way, it's them. And then the Nightmares, same thing, may or may not be real. And may or may not be another form of the originals in the first 4 games. May or may not. But here in this world, none of them are the same character. They're all their own things and they all exist separately. So yeah. That's that. That's FNAF World. Now, the FNAF World's minigames. First, there's the World Between Worlds, or Level 2. No, Level 1, I mean. Level 1, 1 level down. Then there's the World Beneath Worlds, or 2 levels down. Then there's 3 levels down, which doesn't have a unique name, it's just called 3 levels down. And then there's Level 4, the no coming back from it, where Old Man Consequences lives. And it's all red, and once you go down there, you can't go back. And then there's a secret ending within that, where you can drown yourself in the lake. And I guess that's the 5th layer down, where you either see Scott hugging his 2 sons, or you see an angel. Or, what I think, I came up with this theory on my own, it's Henry, Sammy, Charlie. That's just a theory, though. That's those. But then there's also the mini games. There's also the mini games where, the clock ending mini games. Those mini games. That's a world. And let's see what else. I'm trying to remember everything in FNAF World. FNAF World had a lot in it because it wasn't the same type of game genre as the other games. It's an RPG. It was able to fit a lot more in it. So I'm trying to remember if there was any other mini game. No, there wasn't. As far as I can remember, anyway. Don't think there was. Don't believe there was. Yeah, no more pixelated games. But then once you get to Update 2, then there's games within games, which don't know if I count those as their own worlds or not. I think I'm going to. There's the Foxy Fighters verse. Oh, if that's the case, then I did miss a few more Freddy's. There's the Foxy Fighters verse. Then there's the Chica's Magic. No, that wouldn't work. That means? Oh, I guess the Rainbow just jumped from her game into the Update 2. Jumped from her game to the FNAF world. She just left her game to come kick your ass. Okay, so that works. So there's the Foxy Fighters universe. God, this game is confusing already. Then there's the Chica's Magic Rainbow verse. Then there's the Freddy in Space verse. And then there's the Foxy.exe verse. Oh my god, it's a lot. But yeah, that's the thing. I could just count all those as the same world, couldn't I? Yeah, the terrible spin-off games world. Yeah, let's just count all those as one to make it, less. Yeah. But yeah, they're all just one world. So yeah, this terrible spin-off games verse. That is just, oh. Then we're finally done with FNAF World. I thought that was gonna be harder. Oh, and there's the pre-update one where it was a minigame overworld, and we updated it to be when we updated it to have a 3D overworld. I guess it became a new world or the same world, but it's changed. Whatever. I'm adding that on there. I'm adding that on there as a maybe. Oh, then there's the troll game verse, which I'm not counting each troll game he does as its own verse. I'm condensing all them too. That's the troll game verse. The FNAF 3 troll game, the FNAF World troll game, SL troll game, Ultimate Custom Night troll game. Those are all the same world. The troll game verse. Good thing I just remembered that. Now we move on to SL. This is a soft reboot. So now let me explain here. This is my theory, but Scott said 4 games, 1 story. But then we get a 5th and 6th game after this. So my personal opinion, personal headcanon, what I believe is that the original 4 games are their own world. Then SL and FNAF 6 are soft reboots. Now, if you don't know what a soft reboot is, look it up. I'm going to give my explanation, but mine might not be good. I might not explain it good. So just look up what it means, what a soft reboot is. Now, let me explain. A soft reboot isn't like a hard reboot where everything from before didn't happen and this is a completely new world from scratch. It's a new world, but the same events from all the past ones still happened, but you can change like minor things here and there. So the events of the first 4 games happened in the SL verse. That's what I want to call it. It happened in the SL verse, but the SL and that stuff didn't happen in the original 4 games universe. It didn't happen. Here's another good example. Jigsaw, Saw 8. It's a soft reboot of the Saw series. The Saw series ended at number 7. And in Jigsaw, the first 7 movies still happened, but Jigsaw didn't happen in the original 7 movies universe. And one difference they added, according to Jigsaw, there was one apprentice that came before all of them who was there from the whole thing. I don't think he existed in the original 7. I think they added him in. That's his name. But yeah, that's a soft reboot. That's my best example of what a soft reboot is. And I think SL is a soft reboot. So that's that. Now we go to the minigame. Or should I say minigame. There's the one minigame where we see it's the death minigame, and it's a baby giving cupcakes to all the kids and getting ice cream, going back. It's a minigame showing the events of, the baby animatronic killing Elizabeth Afton. But in Baby's story, she said it was in a building, in a room, and she was on a stage. Well, this minigame takes place outside, and she's all jumping around and stuff. Now, here's my personal theory. I think the room that Baby was in was painted up like that. Like the floor was green to be like grass. It was like a blue sky painted on the wall and clouds. Probably fake flowers planted everywhere. And there's probably was a sun painted on the ceiling, or maybe there was like a ball with a face on it, and they called that the sun. Nah. Either way, that's my personal headcanon. That's what the room looked like, based off that minigame. But in that minigame verse, I guess she just did it. I guess she was just outside. I don't know. But yeah, she just. That's that minigame verse. Now we go to Ultimate Custom. Not Ultimate Custom. Force a Habit. Now we go to SL Custom Night. No, wait, no, not yet. Just like FNAF 3, there's two endings to this. There's two endings. So there's the true ending, which is the bad ending. This makes me think the bad ending in FNAF 3 is the canon one, the one that really happened. But the good ending just said the end, like that was the end. It was the right. Either way, there's the true ending and there's the false ending. The false ending is the good ending. The one where you don't get scooped. And instead, Ennard just comes home with you. You like either Ennard escaped and followed you home, or you and Ennard came to a mutual agreement and you just took him home. Now you're just like roommates and buddies. Yay. That's one version of it. That's one ending right there. But that's the false ending. That's the non-canon one. That's the alternate timeline. The main timeline, you get scooped, son. You get scooped, they wear you like a suit, you turn purple, you throw them up, they give you life, and now you're a freakish abomination purple guy. Well, yeah, that's that. So in the main timeline, you get scooped, you die. And as we see from the Ultimate Custom Night mini games, which show what happened in the main verse while at the same time being their own verse, show him slowly turning purple and then throwing up. Once he gets too purple, he gets all sickly. Blech. And Baby repeats, you won't die, a million times, and then he just gets up. Like this. Yeah. So that's that. And then there's the final cutscene, which I'm gonna say takes place in the main game universe. Because it's not pixelated. It's actually the first cutscene. Oh, wait, I shouldn't say that. FNAF 2 had the one where you're in Purple Freddy's head, looking back and forth. So I guess that's the first true cutscene that wasn't pixelated. Yeah, that's that. But this is the first true cutscene that wasn't pixelated to actually have some dialogue to it. So the final cutscene just takes place in the main game verse. So that one's that. That's that world. Now we go to FNAF 6. Yay. Don't worry, I'll get to the books. I know the books came out there, but I'm gonna count the world in my own orders, the order I want to count them in. So just, but yeah, then there's FNAF 6, which, according to what Cap believes, is its own world on its own because some things don't line up. But I just lined it up to SL and said that SL was a soft reboot, and that's how I made it work. Because FNAF 2, the minigame is called Save Him, and the letters spell out Save Him. But here in FNAF 6, my daughter, see, soft reboot. You can change a few things that aren't, yeah. So I think SL and 6 are a part of a soft reboot world. But Cat just thinks FNAF 6 is just a world on its own. You could go with that, but too many worlds already. I'm gonna say it's the same world. Now, here's my reason. Here's my thing. I think when you in catalog mode and you click the blueprint mode, I don't think that's really the real world because how can you order stuff? It's there like in a second as soon as you buy it, and you just place it down. And how can you just click upgrade and then the floor just gets big? You need like weeks and construction workers and all that to get that stuff done. Here's what I think. This is my theory I'm coming up with. The actual Tycoon game, it's literally just a blueprint. Your character is just planning for the future, planning for what he wants to do on like a little game. In actuality, the main restaurant is still just a tiny little room with nothing in it. Maybe a few things, of course, tables, stuff like that, and probably some of the stuff he orders probably gets there by a few days later or same day shipping, depending on what it is. You get what I mean. But yeah, I think in the actual real world, that's not even possible. You can't just expand just like that. But yeah, so either I count that as its own world. No, it's just like a game on a thing, so I don't count that. That would explain why you can play mini games when you play test the things. Because why would playing on a rocket also bring a mini game up in the background? That doesn't make sense unless there's a screen inside the rocket. But if you're bouncing back and forth, you're not going to be able to play the game on there. So no, I think it's just its own thing. It would also explain why Helpy. This is what I was confused about for a while. I was confused on Helpy's size, what his size was. Because we see a little figure of him in the office. He can click his nose, and it's like tiny because it's on top of your monitor. And at first I thought, oh wow, he's tiny. I thought that was actually him. Then when I seen that how big he was compared to the ball pit and every other thing he played, I was like, oh, he must be the size of like a small child. And the one down in the office is just a figure. But in the Ultimate Custom Night, he's tiny. He's like a tiny thing. You gotta click on him, and he can go away. So this is still confusing for me. But if I'm going off the actual game, the tycoon part of the FNAF 6 is literally just a virtual simulation thing, not an actual thing. That would explain why he looks bigger there. In actuality, he's probably just a tiny little guy. Probably just a tiny little guy who stands on top of your monitor with you and boops you. Not boops you, but boops. You can boop him. Either that or Ultimate Custom Night isn't canon, so not everything's quite the same there. So maybe Helpy is that small there, but in the main game verse, maybe he is the size of a small child. I like to imagine he was the size of a small child. That's just me though. Just me. But yeah, size of a small child. So yeah, and then there's the mini games within the virtual simulation, which do I count those as its own world? Because now they're actually games, like Midnight Motorist and Fruity Maze. You can they're actually just games. But I guess any form of media that exists is its own world. So I'm not fucking. I'm gonna count it. Fruity Maze, and then the Midnight Motorist, and then the Puppet mini game, Security Puppets mini game. That's all one world. That's all its own thing. That's the thing. And I think there's the opening mini game at the beginning of the game. I'm gonna count that as part of the troll game verse. That's I'm just gonna count that. There we go. But yeah. And now FNAF 6 has 6 endings. In my headcanon, I kind of think that each ending is you playing as a different person that they hired for that week. But if that's the case, why did the animatronics you salvage keep getting back out just to get resalvaged? So that can't be it. It's 6 alternate timelines and 6 different endings. The true ending, where everyone gets burned and there's actually end credits, that's the main ending. That's the main timeline. It's in connection with this ending right there. So that counts as the thing. But every other ending is its own timeline, its own world, and there's 6 of those bitches. So we already covered the main one. That's the main timeline. Now we go for the blacklist ending. In that timeline, well, the names are self-explanatory. You become so bad at running a business and so criminally negligent that even Freddy thinks you're a safety risk. Or that's saying something coming from them. So they fire you and then there's the mediocrity ending, where you don't do anything for the whole week, and then they just fire you. You didn't buy anything, you didn't place anything in the restaurant, you didn't do nothing. You didn't salvage anyone, you didn't do nothing. So they just fire you. The bankrupt ending, where you run out of money. Then there's the insanity ending, which clearly shows that it's not part of the same timeline. Or maybe it does. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, well, whatever. It's a different thing. In this world, because you found out what Henry was planning, like the cutscene says, you stopped a solution to a messy problem, a fitting conclusion. There you go. That's what it said. So in that timeline, the plan of burning them all didn't happen, and they're still out roaming, and it's not good. Let's see, how many more are there? What other one is there? Blacklist, mediocrity, bankrupt, sanity. There's just one more. The Lore Keeper isn't its ending. That's just the certificate you get if you beat those 3 minigames. But I'm going to count the Lore Keeper with the bad ending one that you get when you don't salvage the animatronics. You don't get a certificate for that, and if you don't get the Lore Keeper. So that's an ending, but you don't get a certificate for it. So yeah, there's 2 possible timelines. One where so that means 7. So there's one where you get this Lore Keeper. Well, that means with every ending, there's this Lore Keepers. Oh god, that's so confusing. Okay, so that's that. And there's Ultimate Custom Night, but that's part of the non-canon verse, so I don't need to bring that up again. But there is another world within the world. Okay, so there is a mini game thing. It's the 4th level down from FNAF World. That's the same world. So let me bring that up again. So now the only world is the cutscene worlds. With the samurai Freddy, and then there's the high school Chica. Which I'm not counting those as 2 worlds. They could be. I think they could fit into the same world. I think they're the same world. Could just be me. But I'm going to count them as the same world. Because, like I said, condense. Make things a little easier here. So in the cutscenes in Ultimate Custom Night, the cutscene worlds, it's like a 2D art style plus the animatronics are just the people of the world, just like in FNAF World. Well, I shouldn't say just like in FNAF World, because in FNAF World there was one human. There's Henry. There's still a few theories with that. But in this one, they may be the people of the world. There's no humans, and the animatronics are the dominant beings there. But yeah, that's that world. Except for the final cutscene. That I don't know what to fit that in. Probably just in the non-canon universe? Or the main universe? The final cutscene where Golden Freddy's all twitchy. I don't know where to fit that at. Is that its own world? I don't know. Now we get on to the books. Now, the trilogy. Silver Eyes, The Twisted Ones, The Fourth Closet. That's a world. That's just its world. Now, here's where some controversy and some debate are going to happen. Me and Kat made this discovery earlier. She's not here now because her brother badmouthed her mom, and then her mom shut the internet off. So yeah, that's the thing. Well, we figured this out earlier. So the Freddy Files, people thought that it thought it was gonna be a guidebook to help you learn how to play the games and also hint to some lore, but it was just a guide to play the games. There was no lore hints. There was a secret teaser for FNAF 6 in it with Freak Show Baby, but wasn't what we thought it was going to be. Then Scott released the Survivor's Logbook, which did do exactly that. Or so we thought. Now here's what me and Kat thought earlier. It's own world, but it also, just like FNAF World and the book series and everything, it has hints towards the main story. The story of the main game series is currently going on. So it has hints too, but it's not exactly the same world. So the Survivor's Logbook is its own world on its own, and it also has connections and similarities and hints towards the book verse with the 3 books, and the game verse, which at the time of the Survivor's Logbook had 5 games. So the Survivor's Logbook is its own world, while at the same time hinting at the lore in the main game verse. If that doesn't make sense, fuck it. Figure it out yourself. Sorry. Let's see. Anything else? I think that's it. Okay. Okay. No, there's no more. Now there's the VR game. Not sure. Kat believes it's in the same world. She believes it's canon. I think it's not canon. I think it's its own world. The people making it in an interview did say that after you beat all 40 minigames, you get a final cutscene that reveals some lore towards the main franchise series. The 4 games and then the 2 soft reboots at the end. And yeah, there is a hint to the lore in that. I think they just mean that final cutscene is towards the games, but I think they're all those 40 plus minigames. I think that's either part of the non-canon verse with the Halloween update and the custom nights, or it's a new world on its own. My opinion. That's just what I think. I could be completely wrong. We'll know when the game comes out, but for now, I'm just bringing it up as a maybe it's its own world. Maybe. Then there's the movie verse, which the movies aren't even out yet. The film, they haven't started filming yet, but Scott has confirmed some things about the film verse. In the film verse, only the first 3 games are going to exist there, which means my thing about the original 4 games, should it just be 3 and 4 and SL and 6 be part of the soft reboots? No, because some things in SL and 4 don't match. So I'm going to say first 4 games, but because 4 is where things started to get a little convoluted and complicated. In the movieverse, only the first 3 games exist there. So since we have a little bit of info about the world, even if the movies aren't out yet, I'm gonna mention it. So yeah, I'm mentioning it. Then of course we have the merchandise worlds, or merchandise world, I should say. With Funko and other companies. Now we go on to the Nixon game verse. Okay. I'm not counting his YouTube channel. Not counting every video series he does. No Bonzi Bunny. No Bonzi Bunny. No. Not doing it. No. Okay. Just counting his games. So, Those Nights at Fredbear's. It never got finished. It never got released or made. But so much content and stuff about it exists, it's worth a mention. Now, I'm not sure if it exists in its own world, or if it exists in the same world as his other fan game, Those Nights at Rachel's. It may or may not take place in the same thing. I'm gonna say they do, condense. So Those Nights at Rachel's, Those Nights at Fredbear's, and Those Nights at Rachel's 2, his other game that also got canceled, are all our world together. That's the thing. Now the Joy of Creation world, and Reborn, the original, and all the different demos and the little test games, including the Halloween edition, which is non-canon. Oh my God, that's a non-canon. So even a fan world, it's already non-canon, has its own non-canon. Look at it. Okay, so the main game, the finished, released, final game, the full game, the Joy of Creation Reborn is its world. But all the, alpha and beta builds and all the things like that, I'm gonna count those as a world too. Because in the very first version of the Joy of Creation, back when it's just the Joy of Creation, not the Joy of Creation Reborn, just the Joy of Creation, it was actually still in the game verse. I think you were playing as a guy named Scott, and I think you were playing as Phone Guy. Because who else in the actual game universe is named Scott? Again, Phone Guy is never confirmed to be Scott. Everyone just says he's Scott because he's voiced by Scott, but whatever. So in that, you're playing as the Phone Guy, and the animatronics from Freddy's 2, the withered ones, have gotten even more damaged, and now they followed you home, and now they're trying to kill you. And that's that. And every other thing afterwards, every other, thing of the Nixon made, like that Freddy demo thing, where you were trapped in the house and there's no way out, and there's no way to win either. There's no objectives. You just had to try to avoid Freddy. I'm gonna count all that as one world. Then we got the Halloween edition. That's its own world with the Ignited Springtrap. That's the thing. Now finally we get to the nitty gritty, the Joy of Creation Reborn, the full game of it. It's a weird kind of meta-ish world, kind of like FNAF world, but even more meta. And again, more Freddy Krueger's connections here. It's about the animatronics. You're playing as Scott, not Phone Guy. Scott Coffin himself, at least a fictionalized version of him. Because in real life, he has a wife and 3 sons. Well, in this game, I think his family's slightly different. But in this game, you play as Scott, and the animatronics from your games have somehow jumped into the real world and are now trying to attack you. For whatever reason, I don't know why. It's not even... He never made the Igniteds. He made the Withers. Nixon made the Igniteds. Unless in this weird little verse, the Igniteds is what he had planned next. Who knows? Maybe they're not the same animatronics. Maybe they're not another version, another form of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy. Maybe they're maybe just demons who took on the forms of his creations and attacked them. Maybe that's how they jumped. Because New Nightmare Freddy wasn't really Freddy. It was a demon character that the character Freddy was based off of, and by making the movies, they trapped the demon in them. And once they stopped making the movies, the demon was set loose, and because he liked the Freddy persona, he kept it. So technically, in New Nightmare, it's not Freddy, it's just a demon. And that could be the case here. Maybe Scott, when he made the FNAF 1, he could have got some demons, and the demons took on the forms of his creations, at least new forms of those creations, the Igniteds, which are burnt versions of the Wizards. Or, just like in the Freddy continuity, he made the FNAF games, and by making them, he trapped some demons in there. And when he decided that 4 was going to be the last one, they were set loose. So he made another one. He made World, and when he said that would be the last one after he was done making it, set loose. Then he made 6. FNAF 6 was meant to be the last one again, loose. And then he made Ultimate Custom Night, said it would be the last one, loose. Now he's working on Into Madness, the VR game, an AR, or however you say it, game, kind of like Pokemon Go, plus a AAA title. That's going to be a lot of worlds to count when they come out. FNAF 6 is the last one. The main game continuity is over. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, SL, and then Pizzeria Simulator, or 6. That's it. That's why I think VR isn't canon, because 6 is meant to be the last one. Then again, 3 hinted that it would be the last one. 4 literally was originally going to be the last one. It's the final chapter. Then they just made 2 more. So who knows? Maybe 6 was, at first, when he made it at the time, intended to be the end. Then he decided, you know what? Yeah, I'll make another one. So maybe Into Madness will be technically FNAF 7 if VR isn't FNAF 7. I don't think VR will be 7. I don't think it'll be canon. I think Into Madness, if there is going to be a FNAF 7, I think Into Madness will be FNAF 7. But I'm not counting those worlds yet. I'm not counting them as worlds because they're not even like VR at the time of this recording isn't out yet, but we know so much about it. I can count it. Maybe. But I'm not counting Into Madness as its own world because it could be technically FNAF 7 or it could be part of one of these pre-existing worlds I already said. With the AAA title and then the AR. I'm not counting all that yet. I think he's having a new book series where it's like a bunch of short stories rolled together into one book, and I think he said that's in the same universe as the main 3 books. So I don't need to count those. So that's the last verse. The Joy of Creation Reborn. That's the last one. That's the end. Whew. Took an hour, 7 minutes to get through every world. My God. And just think, if we keep going further with this, Bonzi Bunny, we go to every SFM. No, we're not doing that. No. Yeah, that's it. Got it done. Now I just need to finish the Freddy videos, and then I'll be truly done. Well, I got nothing else to say, really. Alright, see you guys next time. Peace.